Welcome back to New Amsterdam Radio, the podcast for creatives. It is I, Football Boys, the mayor, in the mayor's office on a very May gray day here in Los Angeles. But okay, it's all right. But don't be sad and gray. I am being joined by one of my most favorite people on the planet. She is doing it all the way in Florida in the world of realty. But before we even get to that, I got to tell you why she is one of my favorite people on the planet. Lindsey Underwood, how you doing this morning?
I'm wonderful. I feel a little bit guilty because it's extremely sunny and warm here in Florida.
We get like 6 weeks of like cloudy mornings. We call it May gray or June gloom here in Los Angeles, and it burns off in the afternoon. Or it should burn off. I don't know.
It's the opposite here in Florida. It's always sunny in the mornings, and then in the summertime it starts raining in the afternoons. You probably remember that from the college days, though.
Yeah, we both went to Fleckner College, and if you guys listen to other episodes, I can tell you about my appreciation now for the 4 years I spent there. I feel like a tour, right? My 4 years out there in Florida. But you are a Florida original. You're like born and raised.
Not born. I will tell people there's a little asterisk. There's a caveat. I was born a Yankee, technically. I was an Army brat. So I was.
I didn't know this.
Blown. How long have you known me?
Probably not enough to know that you were not
born dropped already, like right out the gate.
Yeah, I'm a journalist apparently. You're born somewhere else? I have no idea. So you're born where up north?
I was born in Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. Actually, my father was in the Army, and he was commissioned to teach ROTC at Lehigh University. So that's where I ended up. And
it's funny because you did tell me this. Now you said Bethlehem, it triggered this deep 404 file in the back of my head because my mom's car broke down that town one time. And that's the first conversation we had, or second conversation we had, was about Bethlehem, Pennsylvania. But
that's right. And a huge wrestling town. So, I mean, that's near and dear to your heart, too.
Always. Learn more at drapedingold.com.
That's right.
But you spent most of your formative years in Florida, and you know it's a unique state, to say the least, and pop culture and memes have a certain image of the state. But what has been your experience, I should say?
Florida is extremely unique. What I love about Florida is that it is such a desirable place for folks, not only in the United States, but here around the world. So you really have an opportunity to enjoy and understand and kind of absorb other cultures within here in Florida. Some people who haven't visited Florida, it's kind of funny to make fun of Florida and, just think that's Florida. But it's not like a scene from Deliverance everywhere that you are in Florida.
Right.
I grew up in Southwest Florida, so we don't even have a strong Southern accent down here. We talk like Yankees, and it's just a very cool vibe. People are pretty laid back and friendly. It's still an environment. I'm in real estate, so I'm always driving up and down neighborhoods, and no matter where you are, people are waving and watering their lawns, and it's just a great atmosphere. I've recently had a conversation with my mother, and I thanked her. I said, thank you for moving. Thank you for moving to Florida. It was a great experience. And now that I'm a mother, I'm grateful that I am able to raise my son here in Florida because, again, he gets exposure to a lot of different cultures. And we have opportunities to go to places all the time, just COVID restrictions aside, just the availability of places like Disney World, Busch Gardens, Legoland, or even if you're having a rough month, the bills kind of wiped out your checkbook. We have so many parks and hiking trails and the beach, and it's just a lot of opportunities to get out there and meet amazing people and experience new things.
Yeah, that reminds me, I have to thank my mom for a lot more things. Mother's Day was yesterday, the day of recording this, and I was like, wow, mom does a lot. So respect the moms out there for sure.
That's right.
But you had mentioned that you're a realtor, and let's get right into it because, frankly, I've been watching this from afar about your growth as a realtor, and it's been an interesting journey to see this content-wise. Walk me through this. What got you into the pursuit, and how has it been for you?
Oh man, it's a pretty long story. As far as after I graduated from Flagler, you could almost do an 80s montage of all the different jobs that I've done to try
You're
and
the best.
discover myself.
Oh,
Oh yeah.
yeah. Why not?
But, with that being said,
True.
Rocky wouldn't be an interesting movie if he just walked in and knocked out everybody with one punch and walked out. You have to, there has to be a struggle. There has to be character development. And that was definitely a huge part of that process along the way. I'd done so many different things. I was a portrait photographer after college. I thought that might be kind of a cool creative outlet, but a lot of that was just babysitting and wrangling a lot of kids. It was mostly retail.
That's a punishment for me. I'm sorry.
I just didn't have the patience, honestly. A lot of retail. And then eventually I ended up in a corporate job down in Naples. Actually through a temp agency. I just started off as just the front desk girl. They loved me and kind of took me in, and I ended up quickly promoted through the ranks there in that corporate world. I really appreciated that opportunity because it was a great experience as far as office politics, navigating around different people in that sort of team environment, and dealing with a lot of struggles and challenges too. Sometimes I didn't always feel like I was valued or heard.
Yeah.
But as a creative person, it really started taking its toll on me. Being in the corporate world, I was just staring at a lot of spreadsheets and answering the same phone calls and questions all the time. And I just kind of felt like I had to break free. So I ended up doing marketing for a broker in Naples, Florida. And having that creative outlet kind of opened that world for me, because it not only gave me that opportunity to transition from the corporate world and learn how to make money doing something a little bit more artistic, I also learned after working for that particular broker, I thought, hey, I can do this for myself.
Yeah.
And that sort of spark and that idea is what snowballed into my process. And I will tell you, I didn't just jump right into getting my license. I molded over for years. Like, can I do this? Is this something? There's so many realtors here in Florida. There's I want to say 13% of Florida residents are realtors. It is stiff competition.
Sure.
And I really got to a point where, jumping through corporate jobs and I almost kind of got pushed into it. I ended up serving, which was another great opportunity because it was cash in my pocket every night while I was able to work on my real estate license. And it also gave me the practice to dealing with all different kinds of individuals, and not always in the most calm or pleasant environment.
Say no more, fam.
Always a test of character, just tip your servers well. They put up with a lot. That's all I can say.
It's funny because I've been on dates where I will tip someone 20 or 25%. And the person I'm with is like, wow, you actually tip well. I was like, well, they're bringing it to my plate. They're bringing it to my table. I'm not hacking it myself back there. It's not hard. That doesn't make this about me. Well, you did mention something that I do think a lot of creatives struggle with, because there is the art of creating and there's a commercial aspect of it, right? Like, how do I market myself? How do I sell? So you got into the commerce side as a marketing person, but then there was a whole, I can do this myself as an entrepreneur, get your license. And it wasn't an immediate decision, you said. You said you took time to mull it over. What was the big pros and cons? It seemed like you were ready to go off the bat, but you said you took some time. What was going through your mind?
It's very hard to leave the security of a steady paycheck. It's very hard, especially when you have other people who depend on you and you have bills to pay. And it takes a lot of courage and a lot of belief in yourself to kind of kick yourself in the pants and just get out there and do it. And, it's today, it's still a struggle today. It's still a process, constantly getting out there and trying to market myself and trying to always generate new business and always dealing with that kind of rejection and overcoming those hurdles and obstacles. It keeps me on my toes every single day. So that's something that I think it really helps with the situation, because once you leave that sort of security and you're operating just without a net, it's kind of like do or die, you know?
Right. Yeah. It's a lot of feast or famine stuff. I always say, like, being a self-employed person is like being out in the ocean with a flare gun. Just being like, can someone see me? Anyone see me? I swear. You know?
Every day.
Every day.
That's a great metaphor.
How did you plan to stick out? I mean, you said that 13% of the Florida residents could be realtors. Like, how do you find a way to be different? How do you find a way to be different than anyone else, but still be yourself?
The biggest thing is that I've realized that people do have a negative stigma about people in real estate. They kind of think that they're schmarmy used car salesman types, and we're always just trying to pull a fast one over on you. So my biggest thing is always operating with honesty. Whether you like what you hear or not, I'm going to tell you this is what it is, or this is my professional opinion, because I take it extremely seriously. Some people, especially when you're watching a show like $1 Million Listing, it's just kind of like, oh, you know, you just drop it $250,000 or what have you. But on the day-to-day basis, I realize that I'm dealing with a lot of retirees, first-time home buyers, and this is their life savings. It is a huge decision to make. And so I try to use that gimmick as, you know, I'm here to help. And another angle that I always try to take is that I am local. Even though I was born a Yankee, I have lived down here for 30
You qualify as being local, I swear.
That's right. I have lived down here for 30 years. So, I mean, even the simplest things, like I know all the shortcuts when you're stuck in traffic. I know, you know, the silly little dives if you're not looking for a chain restaurant or bar. And because I am local and because I'm out there and in it all the time, I feel like I have more insight into market trends and what truly cultivates value down here in Southwest Florida, because our market is totally different than anything you would see outside the United States. It's just booming. People are just flocking here in droves, and it's a crazy storm to navigate, to say the least.
That sounds like a thrill. Do you celebrate wins? And if so, how?
I do. I'm a fashionista, so that's my thing. I love being stylish. That's part of my creative outlet is, you know, building outfits and kind of creating my own style. Yeah. And so
Can I jump in there real quick and say, like, when we met in college, that your car was literally lime green, and no one had a lime green vehicle but you on campus. It just bam. But
I like to stand out there for sure.
It's amazing.
Not afraid to be different. I think that's another advantage in real estate. You kind of have to evolve and always try to make yourself stand out above those. There are some sharks out there that have been doing it for 30, 40, 50 years. So sometimes you got to keep it fresh and stay on your A game, for sure.
Is it like most kind of places where, like, people who do it a certain a period of time are just under pressure to reinvent themselves, or do the brands speak to themselves and they usually are the first ones? Are they become established?
It's a mixture. I do look in awe at some people here where their brand, they put so much work and effort into it so that it's just taken off and you can just kind of do your thing, and people flock to you and people want to get your advice. And that's definitely the end all be all when it comes to marketing yourself in real estate. So that's always a work in progress for me, is my branding.
Wow. Work in progress.
To touch back on your question before, is that I do celebrate each win by buying myself a cute little outfit normally something work related, so that I kind of invest in my business in doing so, rather than just going out and getting hammered or doing something that's not the most positive thing. So that's what I try to do. And that kind of helps motivate me and push me too, is part of my grind, a little why of why I go out there, to kind of just keep that hobby going.
I like it because, you know, there's always that age-old advice when you make anything to invest in your business, back into the business, but doing that doesn't mean it has to be stuffy or fun, or you understand, I bought bankers boxes, I'm investing in the business. If you're forward facing, like I went to the store this weekend, of course I went to Ross because I'm classy, and I bought some new shirts because I'm basically from the top up is what people see me in. And so it kind of was investing in that way. And it's kind of cool to really like use the creative side of that if need be, which is awesome.
There definitely is a creative side to it, and it's art. I feel like walking around, you know, wearing it's a statement of myself too. So that's another way that I try to stand out a little bit, is that I try to look fresh and kind of look professional, but also interesting, so that people are kind of like, what's her story, and how would it be if I worked with her? Because I think if you show your creative side on the outside, you can show that you have a creative way of thinking too. Because if you're an outside of the box thinker, you can definitely apply that to negotiations, to how you handle your paperwork and other sort of obstacles when it comes to getting the deal through towards the finish line, so to speak.
Wheeling plus dealing. You mentioned the being interesting, and I think what's pretty interesting is that you are a moderator of a Facebook group about encouraging people and offering support for those who decide to make the jump to the Sunshine State. And well, what was the story behind that? How'd you get involved? And I like the fact you are active on that group. Just tell us more about that.
It's kind of crazy how that started. I was actually, there's a great group called Florida with Five, and it's a husband and wife team. And they moved down to Florida from Wisconsin. And they just loved Florida. Then they loved comparing how different it was from their experience up north. And so they started getting into making videos and doing social media. And they actually formed the group that I'm a part of, called Let's Move to Florida. And I guess Lindsey really connected with me and reached out to me and asked me if I wanted to represent Southwest Florida and Cape Coral and try to at least get that information out there and be that go-to person if folks had questions about my particular neck of the woods. Sure. So it was a great opportunity. I really felt like the content that I was putting out on Facebook and YouTube and what have you wasn't the most significant. I was just doing, little tiny things to sell my properties.
Go on.
But he happened to have found that and thought that I had some value in providing information about Cape Coral, Fort Myers, Naples, Florida.
Yeah. I'm in the group for whatever reason. I'm just there watching you interact with people. I think it's pretty cool.
Whether you want to move to Florida or not, it's just interesting. People put up memes about dolphins and alligators and stuff, but it's just kind of cool to see what's going on in our state, whether it's funny or interesting, or even if it's kind of a hard topic to talk about. It's just kind of a fun group. I like just checking in and seeing what people are talking about, honestly.
Oh, absolutely. I am too. One of these days when I get to be able to have 3 or 4 properties, 2 of them will be in Florida, guaranteed.
I've been working on you for that for a while. I've been telling you, when are you moving to Florida, right?
Look, tell people to download my podcast and make sure I can have an income, and then we'll talk about that.
You're already a superstar here in Florida. I don't know what you're talking about. You're in high demand.
I'm just going to show up. Hey, one person told me I was a superstar. Where is my royal treatment?
No, Lindsey Underwood told you you're a superstar.
Say no more, fam.
That's the difference.
Let's talk about you in the personal tip. You're not just your career. You're a mother. You're a part of the community. You are dynamic in that way. What do you do for fun? How do you stretch out? How do you center yourself? What's personally Lindsey Underwood's vibe?
That's an interesting question because I'm still trying to figure that out, honestly. I will admit that one of my biggest weaknesses is how do I handle stress in this ever-changing environment? And it's, you know, I don't want to sound cliche, but it is very hard figuring out that work-life balance. And, you know, it's like a catch-22 because I always want to work more and more because I want to provide for my son and I want to do cool things and I want to get myself established and have that brand so that I can relax when I make it. But then another part of me feels guilty when I'm not spending that time with him because he's 6 years old. So it's one of those.
Oh, wow.
It's one of those times in life when it's just, it passes by you. And so it's difficult. My biggest thing, honestly, I can't believe I'm just going to confess this to you right now, but my guilty pleasure is I'm a huge sci-fi geek. I'm a total nerd. So for me to veg out, I would love to just hang out on the couch and watch, like, just binge watch episodes of like Babylon 5 and Star Trek.
What Star Trek's your favorite?
What was that?
What Star Trek's your favorite?
Oh, I have to say, gosh, it's like asking which one's your favorite child.
Yep.
I love them all for different reasons. Okay. I have to say, just for sentimental reasons, probably TNG, The Next Generation, because that was probably the first Star Trek that really got me into it, where I was like, whoa, like once I started watching it, I was like, I want to see DS9 and I want to see what happens in all the movies and I want to see what happens in the old school originals and things like that. So that's what opened the doors for me. But I like all of the Star Treks for various reasons.
So I'm not sure if you watched this is people listening. If you guys have watched my sister show, Commander's Log, my first Star Trek was Star Trek Discovery. So I'm kind of backwards in that way. Everything to me has that Discovery lens. This is why I always laugh when I'm like, hey guys, I'm a Star Trek fan. And someone goes, that's not real Star Trek. Like, what it says is so on the label. But I've been watching it in reverse. And TNG is pretty solid. I like TNG.
I'll make another confession. I am kind of one of those snobs too. I really don't care much for Star Trek Discovery.
Oops.
But I do like your show because, you know, it's not just about the show. You kind of tackle into different perspectives and, you know, what the meaning of things. So it's very interesting. Nice recovery.
Like, oh, I hate that show. Your show is great. No, it's interesting because like when I was a kid, I said there was TNG on syndication and for some reason it looked like DS9 was going concurrent with the Generation for a bit there. So I was like, it's too much fandom. Like that totally passed me by. But I looked out into Discovery because it was like a new start. Same with like Doctor Who. Haven't tried it because it was like, there's so many doctors. I'm out. I can't do this. But I imagine I might find the one doctor that gets me into it. I have no idea.
That's true. I do have a favorite Doctor Who, but that's
which one?
I do like David Tennant.
That's the 10th?
I can't remember. Okay. But I mean, you know me, he ran around saving the world in Converse sneakers. So that's kind of my jam.
Yeah, respect.
Yeah, and he's also a Shakespearean actor, so I really respect his work. Just like with Patrick Stewart.
Classically trained.
Absolutely.
Did you want to look like Tristan's in the room?
Perils of momhood.
I love it. Don't worry, I'll mark that one. So 2020 was a year that was crazy. And we're kind of seeing that at least Florida, it definitely seems it's kind of out of it now. What does the back half of 2021 look like? Is it a recovery year for you? Is it to Infinity and beyond? Are you looking to paint the Sistine Chapel again? Like, what does Lindsey want to do in the next 6 months?
Oh, I have some solid goals, but that's always ever changing. So yeah, 2021 is an interesting year. I will say in 2020, when the big C hit, I was a little nervous and didn't know exactly. I was thinking, oh man, I'm still fairly new in real estate. Is this just all going to come crashing down? Am I going to have to serve again? I really don't want to come home covered in butter and beer.
Butter came first for some reason, but I hear you.
Just a little backstory. I served at Red Lobster at one point.
Oh, okay.
Just like all the greats, like Beyonce, right? So
right.
I'll never eat a cheddar biscuit again. Anyway,
I'm sorry.
So with that being said, it was kind of a panic mode, but Florida was crazy. I mean, real estate just skyrocketed from there. And so it was interesting to see how Florida, you know, so many Americans took an interest in Florida when all of that happened. And it's not only because we were a little bit more free when it came to the lockdown stuff. I also feel, and you know, this is just gauging opinions and things that have been said on my group and talking to other people from up north. I feel like 2020 was really a time to reflect on life and exactly what you want to do with it. And it seems as though people started adopting more of a carpe diem approach to things. So people who were mulling it over, like I have, mulling over the idea of moving to Florida, decided to take the leap. Because, you know, when you see how bad things can get, you might as well just go for it, right? Life's too short.
Absolutely. I think this year for me also, like, I didn't think I was going to have a content network. That sounds like something that a YouTuber half my age would say. But, of course, all that downtime and no more weddings to perform kind of put me in that same guys too. So, yeah, respect. Oh, you deserve the best of all things for sure, Lindsey.
Thank you. I tried.
So if I wanted to catch up with you, hire you, book you, how exactly will I go about doing that? I want to have myself a nice little high-rise condo overlooking the water. Is that possible? How can I hit you up?
Oh, man. Well, I'm definitely a type of person that likes to make connections. So even though I am, are we considered millennials? Are we Gen Y? Even though
I prefer Gen Y. Don't get me started on that.
I do too.
I was Gen Y for the longest time, and now millennial sounds like a disease. Like I have millennial deposits in my bloodstream. So no, I'm Gen Y.
I'll go with that too for sure.
Yeah.
And so I actually like, you know, if you call me directly, I like that the best actually. I'm really easy to get a hold of. So call me, text me, email me. You can send me messages on Facebook. I have a website, SWFL Premier Floor. Oh, shoot. SWFL Premier Homes for Sale.com.
Okay, nice. Think about it.
It's a mouthful.
Wait, what was it one more time?
No, don't put me through that.
I gotta do it. I gotta confirm for the audience. What was it one more time?
SWFL Premier Homes for Sale.com. And that's the number 4, not the word 4.
And I hope you do. And tell them Flobo sent you. It will get a 0% discount. My promises. My thank you for listening to this edition of New Amsterdam Radio, podcast for creatives. Liz, before we get out of here, I have one more question for you. You know, everyone has a little bit of a motto, an axiom, a mantra when it comes to things. Do you have one? And if so, what it is?
Oh, man. I have so many different ones depending on the occasion. But the one that sticks out to me the most is something that my mother always taught me. And she always said, fake it till you make it. And that's not to say be a fake person, but in times when you're having a bad day or when you feel very insecure about yourself, it's always best to just go out there and pretend like you're a confident person and that you believe in yourself. And eventually people will believe in yourself too. And it'll all fall into place. And I really did take that to heart because my mother served in the Army, and it means a lot to me that she got herself through the toughest of times. She got through tough childhood. She put herself through basic training and put herself in that position just to make a better life for herself. And eventually she carved out a better life for me. So I'm going to adopt that phrase too. And even in the hardest of times, I'm going to put a smile on my face and pretend like I know what I'm doing until I get there.
Words to live by. And I don't think I've ever said this, but thank your mom for your service for me. And I want you back here in a future episode of Amsterdam Radio because you was killing it out there. Hopefully you're not too famous and you don't turn my show down.
When I'm on $1 Million Listing, then maybe you can come on my show.
Maybe, no promises.
I'll be selling you a house by then, right?
You know what? Why not? Why? Well, I will call you first. I got a spot in Florida. I'm calling you first.
ABC, always be closing, right?